Of Alexandra have arrived in Sandton. They've marched to the CBD in protest against recent demolitions in their township. Slindelo Masikane is on the ground tracking developments. Slindelo, we saw earlier that there seemed to have been what could have erupted into a bit of a scuffle between police and protesters en route to the Sandton CBD. Just tell us what happened there.
Yes, Annalie, we are officially in the Sandton CBD, and as you can see behind me, marchers or protesters are in high spirits. They've marched all the way from the Alexandra township and are now basically nearing the offices of the City of Johannesburg here in Sandton in Region E. And of course, what you're describing, basically what happened earlier on, is that as the march has gotten closer to the Sandton CBD, we've seen the police basically intensifying or being a little bit more controlling as to what route they want the marchers to take. It seemed at some points that the protest was going to lead to the JSE or perhaps to the Sandton Square, but as we were nearing those areas, the police were then getting a bit tougher with the protesters, saying that no, your intention was to march to the offices of the City of Johannesburg, and that's where we're going to take you. And we saw basically a scuffle between the protesters, but a crisis was eventually averted. We saw, guns that have rubber bullets being taken out, possible stun grenades, but it just seemed as though the police were just really showing their hand, saying that they're not going to hesitate to act. But it seems that the protesters have obliged, and we are basically now by the offices of the City of Johannesburg.
We know that protesters want to hand over a memorandum. What is contained within that memorandum, and do they expect anyone specific to receive that memorandum from them?
Well, they didn't really mention that they were demanding anyone to come and receive that particular memorandum. So we understand, of course, an official from the City of Johannesburg at the offices will possibly obviously oblige the protesters and receive that memorandum. But speaking to the protest leaders earlier on, their demands are simple. They want service delivery, and they want it now. They're also saying that the intention of the City of Johannesburg to rebuild illegal structures that were demolished a few weeks ago, they want that plan to not take place. They're saying that there are residents that have for a while now been waiting for housing, and that money is where that money should go, instead of the city rebuilding structures that were illegal in the first place. This is despite the fact that the City of Johannesburg demolished those illegal structures without proper due course, without consulting with the residents. And so we understand that some disgruntled residents have basically said that the city's intention to do that, they don't agree with it, and that's what the memorandum will contain. We understand that there will be time frames in that memorandum, but we also understand that they want to continue with their protest action for most of the week and until their demands are met, Adeline.
So they're threatening to continue with protest action if service delivery isn't rolled out immediately. What service delivery are they referring to specifically? We heard someone earlier mention refuse removal.
Yes, issues such as that, Annalie. We saw obviously before the elections a similar shutdown in Alexandra, where residents were saying that service delivery here is really poor. They've got potholes all over the roads. Housing is a particular big issue, a big concern, where government officials are being accused of corruption, of misusing money that's supposed to go into developing the township and providing adequate housing. People are basically living on top of each other in Alexandra, and we've seen, of course, accusations leveled against high government officials with regards to the Alexandra renewal projects and the billions that were supposed to be spent in renovating developing Alexandra, you know, to ensure that people are living in conditions that are conducive. Right now, I mean, Alexandra is filthy, and the purpose as well of the march is to highlight, you know, the big discrepancies between the Alexandra township as well as Sandton, which is just across the road from the township, where residents who come and work here are forced to see, you know, really, a really high level of luxury of living here in Sandton, and then having to go back and to living in squalor. And so if I ask my colleague Debucho to just show you, we are at the city presence in front of the gates. Also, of course, understand that around the ship as well, police are maintaining a very heavy police presence there as well. That traffic was affected as the march was entering, with traffic officials having to divert cars, and we would advise motorists to avoid the area. And so, as the march basically lands here at the city's offices, we expect officials then to read out their memorandum for us and tell us exactly what their next plan of action will be.
Thank you very much for that update. Slindelo Masekane coming to us from the Sandton CBD, advising motorists there to avoid the issue, not only due to the march, but due to the heavy police presence there, inability to get around the Sandton area. And of course, we'll have a look at the economic impact of this march as well a little bit later on.